they put us through quicker than usually any other company, because England needed anti-aircraft guns. They were ruining England, the bombers were. And they needed anti-aircraft, and 90 millimeter was the best anti-aircraft gun in the world. In England, they expected us to go across the narrowest point, you know. Well, we didn't. Well, that's what we made them think that we were going to do, but we didn't. We went across one of the wider points where the shore batteries were a little bit less, we thought, but they weren't. Oh my, that was some. Well, look at the years they had to build up France, the coast, and they had all them other countries. They took them as slaves to do the work. You know, it was bad. But if we had hit them all to once, we'd have had trouble. We'd have made it, but we'd have had a lot more trouble. The sky was pretty well full of ack-ack, and the cannons, the big cannons off in the battleships and stuff. There were so many ships you couldn't even see the end of them. There were thousands of them. The water it would almost reach back to England. There were so many of them. And 99% of them were United States. They come around with a patrol boat and found out what you were, you know, what was on there. And if you were infantry, they needed infantry on that shore bad. But there was no place to land heavy equipment right when it first happened, you know. So this made us go back and let the boats come in that had the anti-tank stuff on. They said, we need infantry. That's what they needed for to go to shore, because they didn't have no place to unload these 4 or 5 ton or whatever they weighed. I knew at that time, but I forgot what them. I was in 90 millimeter anti-aircraft. The paratroopers helped to take over most of that, but then I can't think of the companies that took over the pillboxes and stuff. Then we went through to St. Lo, which was a big battle in St. Lo, and we couldn't dislodge the Germans, so they sent over, I don't know, 2,000 planes, and they just wiped the town right off the map. That was all it was a church steeple left. And then from then on, they took me off the cannon and put me in charge of security. And I stayed on security all the rest of the time until the rest of the war was over. We just had to do it anyways, and that's what happened. Whatever ear faced the breech block, you lost it. I lost my left ear, my buddy lost his right ear. One was on one side and one was on the other. And we're both from Potsdam and stuff. And then after the war was over, I went back into France, and then they stick me on the prison there, and I had 3,000-4,000 SS troops under me that I had to watch over, nursemaid them. I signed up for two 6-month times after the war was over, because the colonel couldn't find nobody that was capable of taking my job. See, these guys are all prisoners that was. When I heard that flying bomb coming, so I had a guard right outside the window, right by the road, right there. And I hollered out the window. I said, "Hey, keep track of that buzz bomb." I could hear the ack-ack whooping up on it, but I didn't know it was that low. Oh, it was right within 500 feet of the ground. So yeah, I'll do that. So I supposed it was up in the air. All at once I heard him holler, "Take cover," and he no more than holler, "Take cover," and maybe 15-20 seconds afterward, boy, that thing hit right where we were. So that's how I got my Purple Heart, right there. And my buddy was looking out the window, and boy, you ought to have seen him. His eyes were right full of glass. The worst looking thing you ever saw. I let him out of there, and the ceiling of the building come right down. And the first sergeant was just coming through with a little girl that was hit in the back of the head. And he says, "Brownie, take this little girl, and I'll take him. Boy, was I glad of that, I'll tell you. So I never did see him again. I imagine he was blind the rest of his life, you know. I wish this hadn't got on there. That's a little boy. They left me to guard over a chateau with 6 men, and I was the only one that had any money. They were supposed to come back and pick us up, and they never did for I don't know how long. And this little fellow, I gave him the money, and he went around and bought cheese and bread and butter off, and there was no food in France, you know, but he picked up what he could and brought it. He kept us alive. His name was Roger. He was a good little boy. Scars my face, and I had one in my head and one big one in the back of my neck. And I got that out after I come out of the service. There was a chunk of stuff that buried right in the back of my neck. I come out of that bomb. I always would feel it. It was in far enough so I couldn't hardly turn my head. And I was cutting down a tree, and I wasn't paying any attention to it, and there was a long limb sticking out, and it dragged across that, and it dug that open. My wife took that chunk right out of the back of my head. It was yellow, it looked like yellow plastic of some kind. But I don't know what it was, but it was out of the buzz bomb, you know, Southampton, England. That was a fast training. Real fast. But we took care of a lot of the airplanes over there, I'll tell you. And Germany figured that wasn't such an easy country to take as the other ones. You ought to have seen that country. After we were there 6 months, you couldn't look from here to that road down there but what you've seen American equipment. Right in a row. If it wasn't tanks, it was trucks or airplanes. Everybody said they're going to sink England if they keep this up. So you wouldn't believe the equipment that the United States put into England before the invasion. We had everything ready to go. We didn't go off half-cocked. We had everything. If we needed tanks, we had them, trucks, jeeps, artillery, planes, everything. If there was 10 airfields, the United States had 90% of the planes on every one of them. That's my wife there. The other one's my girlfriend.